You're not Hispanic if you didn't have one of these combs growing up. I have no hair, but this works. This is when I used to slick my hair back like all the way, like a fucking cholo. Anyways.
Yeah. Creatively combining these letter cities words. I'm a fiend for the birds. It's for the birds. Brother shipping off that work. Got it popping off the Norco. Little bro behind bars. I'm just playing with the cards. I was dealt. No one cared how I felt. Now I'm popping this with no help. Humble thyself. Get that wealth.
So there's a lot of factors that go into deciding what cam you're gonna want to put into your car, and I'm talking in regards of the 5.3 turbo Volvo that we got. To give it a rundown of where we're at, it's going to be a basic rods and piston motor. It is going to have a single Borg Warner S366 on however many pounds that turbo is going to give us. Doesn't matter. So, like I said, if you've seen some of my illegal education, where is it? I think if you click here or here, because I don't know how this video is going to come out. No, maybe here. Or maybe here. I don't know. There's a lot of factors that go into it. When I went over the camshaft basics of it, it's just the very basics of a cam and how it works and operates. There are different applications. There are things we have to know, like gear ratios, rear gear, tire size. Of course, we're a turbo build, so that's what we're going to do. You know, a whole bunch of stuff goes into consideration. So, two things that we may end up doing. For one, as a starter, as a basic rundown, to get the thing going and to get it kind of shake down the build a little bit, what I was thinking of doing is, since we are a Gen 3 5.3 iron block, I was thinking of using a stock LS9 cam. The only difference with that between a Gen 3 and a Gen 4 5.3s I'm talking about is the bearing size. And now I see why the Gen 4 5.3 is so much more sought after, because the cam bearings are the same size as all of the LS stuff. So if you have a Gen 4 5.3, which I think is from 03 to like 07 or something like that, then that cam bearing profile you can swap in whatever you want. The Gen 3 we have, the LM7, I believe it is. It will be, there's some stuff that we can do. But anyways, to get back to what I was talking about, tickperformance makes cam for the LM7, and one thing that we're going to do now, since now I'm starting to get all these gear ratios and everything into consideration, because we may end up doing a power glide. So being that we got the displacement, we have the turbo, we have the gear ratios of the power glide we may put in it, and we have the rear gear, and we have approximate rear tire size. So I would probably want to prefer to go with a 28-inch tire, but it's all going to depend on literally like what will fit in the back of the Volvo. And I'm pretty sure Randall doesn't care about cutting fenders out, even though it's kind of tacky. Fuck it. So yeah, that may end up being something we're going to do, because on tickperformance's website, they do have a recommendation to a camshaft selector tool. They do make turbo cams, and they are home of Grubworm, who is a turbo LT1, fastest GM stick shift car, fastest domestic stick shift car right now, which is badass. Rear-wheel drive, super badass. That's what I like. That's stick shift. Just be a man instead of just being sitting there in an auto car. Slight rant. Okay, if you have an auto car and all you did was take it somewhere else, get whatever done to the car, you're on suspension and tire, you go out and run a number. Don't claim to be a driver. Now, there's two ways you can look at this. If you're wanting to take it, let's talk about either a Hellcat, CTSV, or even an 18 Mustang. If you take that car, either three of those, take it out, you run a number, and you are in tune with the car, you are messing with tire pressure, you got the Viking adjustable front and rear coilovers, you're doing all this stuff, you're messing with the stall, you're doing this, that, all kinds of crazy stuff. You're like, no, this stall sucks. I'm gonna put this stall in. I'm gonna go from this rear end to this rear end. This tire sucks. I'm gonna go to this front tire. I'm gonna do that, this, all this other kind of stuff. I respect that. That's a driver. That's someone who knows what they're doing. But if you got a basic bitch car, go out there and run a number. Like, I'm not talking about anyone in general. No one. 2020. Don't get in your feelings. I really don't care about your feelings. But let's talk about an 18 Mustang. 18 and up, 10 speed. E85 bolt-on car with a tire. It's gonna be mid 11s. Mid 11s all day. No matter what it is. A 315, a 355. I think even a 373. In an 18 auto, 10 speed. It's gonna run that number. It's gonna be mid 11s. Weight reduction. Skinny fronts. Really good suspension. Low 11s. Gutted 10s. With a Cobra Jet, obviously. Cobra Jet. And E85. And that's like Steeda. And Steeda even has a converter. And they're in 9s. But no one really cares about NA Mustang stuff right now. For whatever reason. Because it's not cool. Because, I mean, yeah, you can barely get 500 wheel out of an NA Mustang. But out of a NA, Z06, C6 Z06, you can get like 630 and run a 9. Full weight. Whatever. Anyways, so Tick Performance, they make really good products in general. I mean, I've used some of their recommendations on a older LT1 that I've worked on with my buddy, and we got rid of the OptiSpark, converted it to coil on plug, and it works and it runs. We took the whole OptiSpark off, all that water pump stuff, put a reluctor wheel behind the crank pulley. We messed up because we put the crank pulley on first and didn't put the reluctor wheel on, so that was the pain. Whatever. So now that we know relatively what the vehicle may weigh, what gear ratios we're gonna have, the turbo setup we're gonna have, contacting Tick Performance, we may actually end up having a somewhat decent cam profile to make the car work, because everything has to get taken into consideration when you're making a cam, because a cam is the brain. Not the ECU, not anything else. The cam. It's deciding what's happening, when it's happening, how fast it's happening. It will literally make or break something. The reason why I wanted to kind of go with just a factory LS9 cam was because it works. It was designed for a PD blower. The bore spacing, push rod length. The rocker is actually offset on the LS9. It's not on the 5.3. It will be a good starter platform, and that cam works. Some people do it. It's like some people on the LSA. They take the LSA out and put an LS9 in, because the LS9 cam is a little bit more aggressive, and say, they don't really want to spend the money into a whole, cam kit and throw everything at it. They would rather put something OE a little bigger, be okay. That's similar to how the Mustang stuff. If you have like an 11 or 14 Mustang and you want to put a set of cams in it with a Cobra Jet, you're probably going to put a set of Boss cams or the comp stage 3 cams, which you don't really need to do anything. You don't need to put springs, you don't need to put anything else. You just put a beefier set of cams on it. You can actually, depending on what cams you get, you can keep your adjustments, so you don't have to put lockouts in it, and you can be fine, and you get a little bit more out of the car. So it's a toss-up. I mean, if Tick Performance hits us up and like, hey, we got this, you can do actually stage 2 or stage 3 cam. And the thing about a turbo cam, where a lot of people get kind of screwed up, you don't really want the crazy overlap chop, this and that, and crazy all kinds of stuff. Because if you really listen to a badass turbo radial car at like lights out, no mercy, or you listen to Tom Nelson of Nelson Racing and listen to one of his twin turbo builds, you turn it on and the car is smooth. A turbo motor works completely different. Yes, with an NA cam, you're gonna have the choppity, whatever. That guy probably saw me do that. Whatever. I'm not even gonna edit that out. You are wanting a specific RPM range. I can even relate this to the Mustang stuff. The reason why I said a Mustang guy, if he is on like the 1400, 1500 horsepower level, and he wants to put a set of cams and it locked out, that's because that motor only lives from 6,500 to 8,500, and that is it. Whether he's on a Power Glide, a TH400, 4R200, whatever, because there's no point in trying to swing the cams down low to get you a better mid-range or whatever, because that motor is doing nothing but living in the higher RPM range. Similar to NA. If you're NA, you want all the power right here. All you're doing with a cam, if you look at the graph, how it goes like this, you just want that power up top. With a turbo motor, works completely different. You have back pressure into consideration, you got your manifold length, header, diameter. Is it a T4? Is it a T6? You need to make sure you get a big enough wastegate so that way you don't have boost creep, because yes, even though if your wastegate is wastegating a certain amount of air out away from the turbo, but not enough, you are going to have turbo creep. Like, yo, I'm only commanding, I only set this thing up for 15 pounds, but I'm making like 27. You need a bigger wastegate. So many things into consideration, and honestly, I will say, yes, I do know the basics. I do know how to get around certain stuff. I know more than others, but when it comes to setting up a crazy good turbo cam, I will tell you this right now. There's probably literally only a handful of people in the world that know how to do that. And it takes a lot of science and engineering. You can get into like, water flow through the cylinder head this is back. A person actually designed and patented trip flow cylinder heads and went to a Pinks All Out. Mr. Clark at UTI, the G, you get water flowing through a cylinder head. Port match gasket, all the way to the valve, like 5-angle valve job, and you see the water coming in through the head and into the cylinder, and you measure it with water through like some weird, crazy NASCAR microscopic crazy stuff, and the water actually tumbles, because that's what you want. You want the air to actually swirl inside the cylinder instead of coming in and just scattering and doing all kinds of stuff, and then you compress it and whatever. You want it to come in smooth, swirl around to get a good even mixture inside the cylinder, and even filling, and the actual speed at which that water or air actually rotates at is like 1 gigahertz or something like that. Crazy stuff. NASCAR gets so freaking crazy with their stuff. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot that goes into making a good cam profile, and a cam that actually does good for your setup. You could change the weight of your car, the transmission you got in your car, and you may have to go to a different cam setup if you are on that caliber of every 10th, every 1,000th matters. So that's that. Update on the Volvo. We are going with, hopefully, if we get it this weekend, Power Glide. We're going to hit up Tick Performance, get a good cam kit set up, get the stuff from the machine shop, the Y-scope pistons that we got. Oh, I let the secret out. Should be here about a week or so. From there, it's assembly. Literally, the motor is done. We get a converter, and maybe Tick Performance can help us out with a converter, because I think we have a 197 first gear and a 373 rear end. I've never built a car like this, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna work. But we'll find out. That's racing. So there's more to that. More videos to come. There's a little update on the Volvo. Subscribe if you haven't. If you made it this far, holy shit, I appreciate it. I'm almost at 100. Get me to 100, and then we get 1,000. So I'll talk to you guys later.